Hey, Fitzy here, back at the game, another one. Back on Crusty. They say buy bolt-on parts. I said the headers, bolt them on. Yeah, fine. Okay. Now I got to relocate the coils. I got to buy plug wires that are custom made. And then when it comes time to tune the engine, I'm not going to be able to tune the plugs because I'm not going to be able to get at them. I can't have that, can I? Guess I'm going to have to custom make something for Crusty. Set of log manifolds. Stick around. So in the last video on Crusty, we went and made mounting brackets and everything for the turbo so that can be mounted in place. I got that all figured out. Going to answer a couple of quick questions here now. A few of you talked about tire clearances. I never straightened up the tire, okay? When you look at the tire here now, the tire is not going to hit that, okay? Lots of clearances there for that tire to clear that. It's only when it's turned hard to one way that it is actually going to, it's not going to hit. But like if you were turning it extremely hard, going into a corner, braking, it would rub on the turbo. And the issue I got there is this is not a car built for that, okay? This is like a point and shoot type of car. It's not the type of car I'm going to do handling with and stuff like that. It's going to be a little neat little cruiser just driving around. It won't, like when you're just turning it, like parking and stuff like that, it's not going to hit. It's just going to, you know, it's not an issue. There's nothing else I can do about it, okay? Unless you can get that there to turn and go upside down. Because the problem I got, in order for me to rotate this any more this way here, it's going to be in the way of this bar. It's going to, the two entrance ways are going to be right here. So then you lower it down. When you lower it down, then it's going to hit the tire on the inside. It'll be too low. This here is at its lowest point now for the intercooler that comes out through here. There's an intercooler pipe that's going to come in through here with a 90 degree. It's going to go up to that. So if I lowers it anymore, it's not going to work, okay? So I figured I'd just answer them a few questions. I am in tight quarters here. And I just some things you're just going to end up losing. So, you know, me doing 120 miles an hour braking going into a turn, not going to happen. But anyway, since I got this mounted, I've been thinking more and more along the hot side, trying to figure out a hot side setup dilemma. Now, where are my two? Right here. They are, what, 3-inch? Yeah. Them headers got a 3-inch outlet. Okay? They're 1 3/4 pipe here. And of course, they're upside down. Here is some of the issues that I got with this. Number one, okay? Access to the plugs. Extremely hard to get at. I can't run stock plug wires. I'm going to have to remake all my plug wires. Also, where my coils mount on the top pans, I was hoping to leave them there. They're going to be extremely close to the header, and it will cause a heating problem. So there's going to be a heating issue there, okay? I got a 3-inch outlet on this side and a 3-inch outlet on this side. I only got a T4 flange over here, so I got to get them 2 3-inch pipes, run down here and get the merge into that T4 flange. Now, I think that's a bit extreme in my mind, okay? I've after doing a bit of research, I've after asking around, and here's what I see here now. I am running a 4.8. This is not a 6 liter right off the bat, and it's going to be turbocharged. Running stock manifolds with a turbo application, guys are making well over 1,200 horsepower with stock manifolds, okay? So there is really no need to have these large tube headers. Now, in order to make these headers work, just say I was going to make them work. If you look at where the turbo's to and where the end of this header's to, I'm going to have to cut up this header, move it back. I'm going to have to put a big elbow on it. It's going to have to go down, do a loop, probably come over this way and then go back to come up to go into the turbo. 3-inch pipe, okay, let's downsize it into a 2.5-inch pipe. All right, so then you got to have a 3-inch coming off of this, downsized into 2.5, going down, going underneath and going up into that, which is going to have to go down to like 2.25. Probably 2-inch pipe going into the turbo. So you got a 2-inch pipe, 2.5-inch pipe, 3-inch pipe. All this is going to have to be made up to make this work. So that's a dilemma. Then I got to make all that fit in that area there. So, and also, it's a sin to cut up a good set of headers. That's the biggest thing. This side here, I can get away with it. But again, it's larger pipes. So some of you are saying, well, Tony, just run manifolds. Well, here's my problem with manifolds. I tried it. That was my original plan. These control arms are higher than the bottom of the manifold, okay? If you're looking through here, you can see where the head is to and where the control arm is to, okay? You can see where the port's coming out of the head and where the control arm is to. And you can see that the manifolds won't work, okay? Some people say turn the manifolds upside down. Yes, I size that up, but I'm in the same dilemma again. It just looks ungodly, and some of the manifolds turn up and come up on an angle like this here, and I want them to come forward, okay? A number of fellas have spoken up and said 2 1/4 pipe. Fellas have made over 1,200 horsepower with 2 1/4 hot side pipes, which is understandable, you know. All this information I'm getting on the internet from like Turbo LS guys, fellas that have done this combination. I'm a firm believer of just asking guys. And in saying that, here's how I'm going to solve this problem. I was planning on doing this setup before, and I kind of like went away from it, figured I'd get the headers and they'd work fine. And the more I got into it, what I'm building here, what I have here is materials to build a log manifold, okay? And I bought a couple of flanges, LS flanges. I bought them on Amazon, okay? That's all I bought on them. And I went to my local plumbing supplies place, and I bought these 1.5 inch elbows, okay? And I bought these 1.5 to 2.5 inch reducers. I bought a couple of them, and I bought 8 of these. I may need a couple more of these. I don't know yet. It all depends on how this back pipe is going to be mounted. I may need to use cut up one pipe in order to get it to work. I don't know. I got a piece of 2.5 inch pipe here as well. This is going to be the actual log part of it. And then I just got another piece of 1.5 inch that I had kicking around, that I may, if I wants to take any lengths out of it, just for straight pipe. So I had that kicking around. But this is my whole goal and my whole plan. With this setup, I can solve plug wire problems. I can run stock plug wires, okay? Heating problems for my coils, that problem would be solved. The 3-inch outlet, I can run smaller pipes. I can downsize this one down to 2 1/4 and run 2 1/4 crossovers. That's 3 problems solved. Now, number 4, I got a lot more room underneath the hood, because one other dilemma I have is that I need to run an exhaust pipe out through here. By doing the log manifold, I can keep it low down here, and this can pass over the top of it. I can still get down between the exhaust manifold, or the exhaust here, and the log manifold to get at my plugs. Because you're always going to want to check your plugs when you're tuning a car, trying to figure it all out. You're always going to read your plugs. No matter how much high tech you got, you should still always read your plugs. So that was another dilemma that I got crossed off my list with the problem. So running this setup here, making something like this here, benefits me in a number of different ways. And also, from what I've read, it will actually help with the lag on a 4.8, okay? I'm going to go around, I'm going to strip down one of the heads, take them headers off it. I'm going to get a couple of head bolts and bolt them on. I'm going to get a set of coils and plug wires that I can put in place, because I want to build everything around the plug wires. That way I can run all stock stuff. And I'm going to start getting the flange bolted on and start designing and figuring out what way the log manifold is going to go. So here's where I'm to. I turn around and I bolted the flanges on. You can see it there. I got that bolted on. I got the head bolted on, a couple of bolts, top ends bolted on. Over here, there seems to be a lot of room, okay? I got a lot of room over here. There's not an issue with what I got. Problem I got is over on this side here. I went over and I went and hauled a set of plugs or coils off and bolted that on and rigged it all up. So I got that mounted where it's got to go. Here's my dilemma. I got steering column back here. I got to work around this. So I'm going to do this side first. And when I get this side done, I'll just mirror it on the other side, because I got the same distances there. The pipe that I had 2.5 inch pipe, which is 3 inches on the outside diameter, okay? That was way too big. This is what I had. This is 3 inches on the outside diameter. This here is 2.5 on the outside diameter. This is 2 inch inside, okay? And this is what I needed to get. I had to go to town again and get another piece of that. So now these here, I can still use, these are 2.5s. I'm just going to cut them down. I'll cut them down to about here somewhere, so that they'll actually fit on to the 2.5 like so, for the downsized section for that. So that way I can get the elbows situated on the end of that there. It doesn't seem like a big difference, but there is a large difference there. You could have got away without just doing that, but I want to have a nice transition going from one to the other. And so I got that there figured out. That's done. Playing around with it. What I got to do is, the first one I got to do is the back one here. My whole idea here is to have this mounted somewhere along here like so. Okay, I can't come over here too far. I can go down a small bit and then come in to clear the roll cage there. Like so. I can put that just so, like that there. That's the way I'd like to have that. I like to have it so that I can get at the plugs. I can use the stock coils. I haven't got to worry about the location of the coils. Like the problem with before with the other headers, these two here would have been an issue. The coils, so right off the bat, these would have had to been relocated somewhere else. I'm trying to keep this simple, very clean. The reason for the manifolds, to keep them down low, so when you open the hood, it just looks like a stock LS type setup in it. Every time you makes it more racy looking, it just like it goes away from what I want this to be, a street car. The benefits of this is greater than the whole point of me having to run these headers. Okay, I have a lot going on with this here, trying to make them work. And the biggest problem I got with that is when you're tuning these LSs, you want to get at the plugs. You're going to want to check your plugs. So, and that's the main thing. And I just want to keep everything. Reuse stuff. I'm a junkyard type of guy. I like reusing what's available. Keep things simple. You know, there is no power gains for me to use this. It would have been just easier for me to bolt them onto the thing, and I wouldn't have had to make these. Okay? The stock manifolds will not fit. Okay? So that's out of the question. So I'm going to go ahead now. My plan is here now is I'm going to take one of these pipes here. I'm going to trim this down to the right length, and I'm going to tack weld it on the end of this here, clean this up here, and have that so that's welded on that there. That's the first thing I'm going to do. And then I'm going to start sizing up these elbows to see how they're going to be mounted, what angle they're going to be on, if I got to add pieces to them or whatnot. So let's get this here trimmed up and get that welded to that. So I went ahead and I cut it off. The Schedule 40 stuff, so it's pretty heavy. And it was tricky to cut off, but there's one that wasn't cut off. And all I did then is I beveled the end of it. Okay. And I fit it around there. And I went and welded around. What I'm going to do here first is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to weld all this up and grind all that and finish that off. So that's finished. Because I got to do that to both pipes. And everything else on that now I'm just going to have welded. I'm not going to worry about dressing it. I just want to have this section here dressed so it's not like a weld and a weld and a weld going into the pipe. I just want to make this almost look like uniform going from here, and then the taper will taper off. So I'm going to go ahead now, weld all this up, and I'll grind that up. So I got that all grinded off here. So that's all finished here now. I finished that off. I went ahead and I welded an elbow into it, okay? Just tack welded it on, I V'd it off, same as I did everything else. Most of these come V'd anyway, as you can see, but I've done more of a clean up job on it, V'd it back a bit more, and I just tack welded together. And I fit it in place. What I noticed is that this still needs about 1.5 inches or so extended into the flange. So I got this piece of pipe here now, and I got it over here, and I got it marked in 1.75 inches, and I just put a little clamp on it, and I scribed it around there, so that way I ends up with the scribe mark, and I got a nice straight line. I'll let that go there now, and I got a nice scribed line all the way around that. So I'll just cut that off there now, and I'll bevel that off, and I'll weld that onto that. Okay, I got the piece tack welded on after trimming it off. It's about 1.5 inches there coming out from the thing there, and I just have it laid in place there now. Look. Off the flange, and that's basically the idea I have in my head. Okay, it's got to come up a small bit because I got an issue with the steering column if I lays it down. Of course, when I lift up on the spine, right, I might take a small bit more off of this just to move it in so the elbow is farther away from the shaft. There's room there now. It's not an issue. It's just that I'm just trying to get it as much clearance as I can get on stuff. But I was sizing up the elbows. I think what's going to happen here now is that these here are going to be straight pipe, because they got to come straight out to this here, because I haven't got this turned down. Most times it's mounted underneath the plugs, and I've just come out away from the plugs itself. And this here is a direct line here now with this here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just get straight pipe now. Instead of coming out straight, I'm just going to bring it on an angle this way here. So it's pointing towards the front, okay? So everything is being fired this way. The angle is there. And that's the idea I got in my head. And I got to size it all up on the other side. So what I got to do now is I got to cut a few more of these pieces. I'm going to cut one, size it all up. And I think I'm just going to tack weld this together first onto this flange, just roughly, just so I can get an idea where it's to, and then I can make up something for here, just so I can get an idea of how this is all going to fit together and what it's going to look like, and the fitment and everything. Then I can go ahead and start fine-tuning the pipes going from here to here. But I'm pleased with that. I'm going to go ahead now and mock up this other piece, take this off, take the flange off, and just tack weld it, make up a piece that I figure is going to go here, and just mock it all together just to see if I'm in the ballpark. Test fit it on both sides, see what's going on. So here's a better look at it. You can see now the way this is going to mount on here, and if you look down across here, you can see that's even with it. It just passes over the top of it. It's straight. So all I'm going to do here now is I'm just going to get straight pipe and come up here on an angle like so. That's the idea I got in my head. I'm probably just going to cut one for now, just roughly. Put something in there now, tack weld it in place, give that a tack there, test fit it, size everything up, make sure it's going to be easy to get at stuff. And I'll decide then if I'm going to leave it that way or if I runs into any snarls. So here's what I come up with. I got the piece of pipe cut. I got it on an angle, as you can see. Okay. I was playing around with a couple of different ideas. I got this coped out on the end so it fits around the pipe this way. Okay. That's the way that'll fit on the pipe, like so. And they'll be mounted on them like that. And there'll be 3 of them, like so, on there. But what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to tack weld it on there, tack weld that on there, tack weld that onto the pipe, and just play around with it, bolt it on the car, see what it fits like. And, you know, a few issues that I was concerned about, but I can get it, would I be able to get at these bolts here if I was on bolting it or whatnot? So I'll find all that out now. So let's get this welded together and do a test fit. So here's where I'm to. This is what you're looking at. There'll be 3 pipes here on an angle like so. That's the way that'll go, like that. Now that pipe there, it's the right height right there now. I wanted to have it so that it was even, that was level going across, like so. Problem with it is, I did too much coping in the inside here. So the problem with it, that I had with this one here was a fresh pipe, and I started cutting it, and I was going at it blindly, right? Now I know where I've got to go with it. I had to make another one, right? So this is fine for a test fit, and I'll just I'll use this one here to figure out what I got to do for the proper one, and I'll go from there, right? But that's basically what you're seeing. That's the way that'll be, like that. So I'm gonna go over and test fit this on the car now and see what it's like. Mistakes were made. I wanted to keep an eye on this. See these 2 center holes here? They're supposed to be this way. And when I was putting this together and I was moving around the bench, I said, Tony, make sure you put that flange on the right way, and so that it's set up on this here, because it'll bolt on either side when I do that. The problem with it is I put it on, I wasn't paying attention to these 2 holes, and I welded on the right side. So I'm going to get these broke off now, cut them clear again, clean that up, flip this over, weld it on again. So here we are with the first test fit. First thing I had to do is it wouldn't fit inside here. There's lots of room there now. I had to cut 2 inches off the end of it, which is no big deal, because I got to put a coupler on the end of that there anyway for the exhaust to go off of. Lots of clearances on the exhaust, on the wires itself. The bolts putting in were fine. Issue I got, she's pretty well touching the steering column up here. Right? If you're looking through there, you see that's pretty well touching the steering column there. Let's see in through here as well. You see where that's touching the steering column. What I'm going to do is I can still move this in a bit, so I can save this front pipe now. As you can see the mess I got made of that. I'm going to cope this out a bit more, take it in about 1/4 inch. I'm going to take 1/4 inch off of this off here and move it in. That way there, that'll still give me clearances on the plug wires, and it'll turn around and move that in. That'll take this bend in farther so it'll clear the column, right? That's the biggest issue I got on this car is that here. And I'm trying to make this here so it's symmetrical left to right. And I should be able to take this header off now and bolt it on the other side with no issues. It'll be just farther forward is all it'll be on this end, okay? Which is no big issue. I can always cut it off so two of them are sticking out the same length and there'll be a left and a right to it then, right? But I'm making good headway with it. I'm pleased with where I'm to with it. So I'm going to take this off now and take it apart, cut off 1/4 inch, get this here coped down so it lays flat inside of it again, and get it the same height again, and then do another test fit. So I got that done. I got 1/4 inch taken out over there, and I went and took 1/4 inch out of the cope here. It looks way better there now. Look, I can save that piece now. All the way around. Looks good. Now all them holes got to be cut and everything later, but I'm just doing this now so I can get the design figured out. Before I go any further, all I'm doing with all this piping, this cutting and fitting is all with basic tools though. 3 grinders, that's all I use, okay? I got one set up for the cutting wheel, one with a stone, and one with a pad. That's it. And I turn around and I cut it out with this, roughly, shape it with this, fine tune it with that. And that's all I do with making these copes here. For cutting them out, that's all I do with them, okay? So I'm gonna go over now, test fit that. So that's a lot better. I got a fair bit of room in now in behind that. I might take a little bit more out of there yet, just to be safe, but she's not touching the steering column now, which is good. So I'm going to go ahead now and take this off and test fit it on the other side. And here you have it, same header, bolted on this side. Now the plugs go this way on this one here. I just got to have a close look and make sure that this one and this one here doesn't interfere with these 2 plug wires. It looks like it should be fine. Okay, on them 2 there, because of the angle I got down, should be fine, but I'll double check that when I mix the pieces up if it's in there. That's the only issue there. Over here, it's not interfering with the water neck jacket if I decide to want to put a heater in this. And if I want to, I can cut this off. It only got to go as far as here, but I'm thinking about what I'm end up doing. I might just come down here, go across, turn over and come up, just so it's just a gradual roll up to it. You can almost go like a 90 right up into the T4 flange, but that's another thing too. This is a divided T4 flange, and I intended to divide them, so I'm having one bank on one side. Now there's 8 fellas talks about they got to be all synchronized, and no, I'm not getting into that. One side to one side, one side to the other side. That's it. That's all I'm going to do with it. Just as long as if they say it's better. All I'm looking for is spool characteristics, things that make it easier to spool. And these are the few things that I'm doing because this is a 4.8, okay? But where's a smaller cubic inch engine. 6 liters, none of this would be relevant. You could probably go ahead and put them headers on it and, you know, benefit from it. But I'm looking for any benefit I can to get the max amount of power out of this little motor to make that turbo work, okay? So, anyway, so I got that there now. And I got to figure out what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to blow this apart and I'm going to start making all the individual pieces. I know what I got to make now. I know the shape of them and everything. I'm going to make a little template for this here so I can mark it out on a piece of pipe and I can cut it off pretty close to where it's got to be, and then I'll just have to fine tune it and whatnot, and then build back sleeves. I know how big that got to be so I can cut that off straight. So I got to cut out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more of these. And another one of them. I got the elbow there, and I got the piece of pipe there. I got to cut down the merge and get that welded on, fitted. My plan is to have all this stuff here welded and grinded and finished. The last welds are going to be done on the flange itself. So all this here will be welded first, because I want to get inside here and grind this here. Have it so just nothing interfering with that flowing into this pipe here. That's just me. I'm old school. That was things you did with headers years ago when you were trying to get the max amount of power out of a NA combination, but I don't know if it's really relevant in a turbo application. So anyway, get this part, get making them pieces. I got all them cut out. Each individual one I cut out separately. You see me making a little paper template, and that's all I went by. I wrapped it around the first one that I made and then just duplicated every single one of them as I went along. And what was quite interesting is as I was fitting them into place, every single one of them need the same work done to get them to fit properly. She needed a little bit more taken off this end here on all of them. So like that tells you that there was off a small bit when I marked it. And it was just like every one of them. It was pretty cool how they all went. But they all fits in there right nice, okay? You know, you can turn around, fit them in there. It goes in there right nice now, and they're ready to go. So I got all them done now. And I got the little piece made for right here. That goes there. And I got that cut down for that there. And I got the elbow there and the flange up there as well. And of course I got the large piece of pipe here to make that out. Now the only thing I got left to do yet now is I got to cut holes in these here. So I got to mount these in place here and tack weld in place onto this pipe here. I'll get them all cut out and done. But what you see here of me now, I started this is 10, 11, 12, it's about 2.5 hours worth of work done here to get all this ready to go. So I got all the bits and pieces all made up, no fancy tools, an ear grinder, 2 electric grinders, that's all I'm using, okay, to do all this here and get everything ready. So I'm going to go ahead now and start positioning these on this here and assemble that other one and figure out where the holes got to go. Turn around, got the pipes tacked in place and this one here, and I've done a test fit on this side. All the plug wires clear, there's no issues there. I got no issues on this side. I'm going to have to shorten the small bit because the flange that I'm putting on that won't fit over the end of that. So I'm going to size it up on the other side and see if I can make both of them the same. So let's see what it's like on the other side to fit on the column. Here you have this side. Everything works good, looks good over here as well. Everything fits on. I got clearance on the steering column still. Down on the bottom there, it's hard to see, but you can see it there. But I got clearance there, so there's lots of room there on the column. And seems like I got to do the same thing over here. I got to cut it off. I figured about 1 inch. I'm going to cut off the end of the pipe so I can put the flange on. That way I can put the band clamp on there. That should be fine. So now that I got that figured out, I know that the left and the right can work on either side. I'm going to turn around now and get the holes drilled in this. So here's where I'm to. You have to watch me doing a bunch of stuff here now. I went and welded up all these pipes and the V's and that and grinded them all down. I just soon have a nice finish on that, doing all that first. I went ahead and I drilled the holes in this here. All I used was my hole saw. And I don't know what size that bit is, but it's close. I think it was like 1 3/4 inches or close on a 2 inch, 1 7/8 maybe. Because that's a 2 inch hole, or these are 2 inch, and it just barely, I can die this out at later on. I'll put a die grinder and clean them all up later on once I get them all welded, but I want to get that part of it done. I got the other one here now in the process doing it, just giving the compressor a break. I got one of them done, one of them's almost done, so I got to do the third one. That pipe there, same thing, got that all welded up, the elbow, all that's done. And of course, I'm getting ready now to put this one together. My plan is I'm going to weld all these 3 pipes directly onto this here first. I'm just going to tack weld it on this for now. I want to bolt this onto the head down solid before I actually weld any of these pipes here. I'm just going to get all the welding done up here first, and that way I'll have one piece done. So I'm going to go ahead now, set this up and get this one welded up. And I'm also going to start getting that one there ready to go. So I'm just going to go ahead and get all this done, and I'll just show you bits in here and there until I get these finished. So here's where I'm to. I got this all taken apart again now. I got the holes all drilled in this here. The holes are in here now. I got that done. I took it all apart, cleaned all the oil and everything off them, and what I done then is I beveled off all the tops of these, okay? These are all beveled off. I'm not worried about the bottom right yet. So I managed to get it there. Where's two there now, and I got this laid on over here, and I squared it all up so it looks presentable all the way around here. And so now I'm going to go ahead and I tack weld this onto this here again, and then I'm going to turn around and start. When that's tack welded on, I'm going to start putting this one on, then I'll put this one on, then I'll put this one on. I'll just tack weld it in place, tack it to the body here, and just put a couple of tacks on it up on this end here, not worry about welding it on here right now. So that way I can turn around and get these here welded on, okay? So I'm going to go ahead now and get these here tacked on and start installing them pieces. So that's what I've been doing. I'm welding so far and flipping it over and welding the other side. You've seen the welding technique that I'm doing here. It's all it is, I'm layering them down like nickels, okay? It's not a structural type of weld you'd want to do anything, but where this is just a header, it's fine, and it's big heavy gauge steel. I have the heat turned right up and I'm hitting it, and what I'm ending up with is a nice roll of nickels, see? When it comes down that way there. And it's a lot tighter weld. If I had to run a pass along that there, the weld would be really high. And I got it V'd out, I'm going right in there deep, and the heat is that high that if I was going to continue welding this, I would actually burn holes in this, okay? I'll burn the edge right off of this here by doing this here. And each time I hit it, you can actually see the redness, and I don't let the redness go out of it, and I hit it again. And I keep doing that. I think they call them coal welds or something like that, some people call them. But it's my rendition of a MIG that looks like TIG. So I'm happy with that. I gotta let this cool off a bit now, let some heat go out of it. so that I can turn around and finish welding this up. Then I gotta go take the head and set this up so I can bolt this onto the head, and then I can weld this up. And I also got to measure for this and cut the flange off. I've been running these bang clamps, these things here, and these got like a little edge on them. And this here, this is a 2.5 inch one, and this here fits right on over this here for this pipe here. If I had to get the smaller ones, the smaller one I would have to grind it off in order to fit down. This fits right nice in over this here, so I'm just going to go with these here since I got it here. So that's what I'm going to weld on the end of them there. So I'll let this cool off now, and I'll go back and I'll finish welding it up, and I'll set it up on the head. So I got them all welded onto there, and I'm just letting the pipe and everything cool off. It's a little bit warm and everything there, so I can get ready to do the other one. So I figured out the length I wanted to do, and all I got, you've probably seen me do this before, and I just took a hose clamp, wrapped around it, marked it, and lined it up, and then ran around it with a marker. And now all I'll do now is I'll have a line there, and I'll just cut that off right where the marker's to. So I went and cleaned off the deck of the head here where this bolts on, so it's a nice clean surface. And then I bolted this down tight onto the head itself, okay? I got that done. Then I took the flange. Of course, you can see I took it all apart again. And I went and beveled off the edges all the way around on all these here, okay? They're all beveled off. You can see the beveled edge on them. So I got them all. So all I'm going to do now is bring this up here. I'm going to lay that in place there where that's got to go. And then I'm going to tack weld it in a couple of spots. I'm going to take it off to make sure that I'm happy with the centering of the pipes in the flange. And then I'm going to bolt it back on again, and I'm going to weld it up. That's it. Trick with that is you got to have it bolted onto the head. That's the reason why I welded everything else first, because I had to file this back one because all the heat, you know, move things around. I wait till the last bit. I just assume have every bit of the header welded up. In this case, log manifold. I've done headers before. This is the last thing that I always weld, okay? I'll weld all this up, have it all done. Sometimes stuff moves on you, and you know, if you try to weld this and weld this, everything starts twisting, and what ends up happening then, up here will pull on this panel, right? On this here. So by just doing it this way, this is all I got to worry about now is welding this up. I haven't got to touch none of this here, other than that flange on the end. I got that cut off as well, and I got to get the flange now to put on that. But I'm going to get this here straightened away first. While I'm waiting for that to cool, I'll start fitting this on her. These are the clamps that I'm using. I got these on Amazon. Right? And all they are consist of is a bang clamp like that. They come with 2 pieces like so. They interlock together. That'll keep it from leaking. So I got to make sure that I use the same 2 sides. So I'm putting the what I call the female side on the pipe itself. That'll just fit on here like so. Where's my hammer? I'll just tap on there. So I got that all welded up. I'm here now just letting that cool off before I take it apart. I'll leave that alone there now for a bit and let that cool right down so it's easy to touch. This welding that I'm doing, this type welding, easy way to describe that there is I keeps 90 degrees to it. Okay, I don't go on an angle and try to weld this way. I weld it right on the 90, right into the corner, and shove the weld right in it. That's how I get the weld to go flat. And I just follow it around like that there, and I overlap it about 50% all the way along. And this is what I'm doing with the weld, going all the way around this like this here. Like you sees me welding and I haven't got a helmet on. It's just like I'm behind the weld, like I said before in another video. That's what I'm doing, I'm behind it. It's a lot easier. I want to see the glowness, and I want to see where I'm going to strike the next arc. I don't see the tip, okay, when I'm welding, but I have a good idea where the tip is too, so I know where it's going to be. And it's kind of hard to see when you're pulse welding like that there, that the helmet will be going on and off, and there's a delay in the helmet and whatnot, and I want to get the heat into it before it cools down too much. So that's the reason why I do it like I do. And so don't be concerned that I'm here welding and I've got magical eyes, because I don't. I'm not looking at the arc, okay? I'm behind the weld. All I'm doing is getting a bright light. I'm not seeing the actual arc itself, right? But that's how I do that there. It's more cosmetic for something like this. I wouldn't use this in structural. Like I'm not using this on the roll cage. I'll be using that like full solid welds on the roll cage to keep a lot of heat in. But where these are set of headers, I just want them to look presentable looking underneath the hood. I don't want to go grind them or anything like that, so I just want to leave them like that. That's the reason why I did that. So this cools off now. I'm going to take it off, bolt the head back on the motor, and do a test fit on it. So there you have it, bolted on the engine. All kinds of clearances on the column and that, and down there, everything's there. Looks the part on it. Where the flange comes up by the alternator here, and you can see that now. All I gotta do now is take the bang clamp, come off of that with exhaust, and run wherever I want to go with that. So I got that one done, then I went ahead and done the other one. Had two of them done. This one here, I went and put the plug wires, so you get an idea the way all that goes. So I can use the stock coils, the stock plug wires, all that. In order to take the plugs out, it's just a plug wrench and a plug socket, and then use a wrench on it. I can still get at them easy enough, but you won't get a ratchet in there, that type of thing, because the way we're right opposite to it, right? So, but you can still get at them, and I can reuse all that stock stuff. There's a lot less clutter up here now. There's nothing coming over the top of the motor. I got lots of room now to run my exhaust from here out to here and still be able to get at the actual plugs, because I want this here to come out across here and go down. I can get down between that and that to get at these plugs. So the problem I had before, that went over the top and you had to get down underneath in order to get at all the plugs. So I'm very pleased with how this has turned out. Let's see now some stuff. This is schedule 40 pipe. Most of it is the elbows, all that type of stuff is heavy gauge pipe. I done it that way because you probably make this in a slighter steel. But I think that making that this heavier steel here, you got a lot more forgiveness in terms of where's the turbo setup and exhaust gases and stuff like that. And it's a lot easier to work with. I can put a lot more heat into the welds, all that type of stuff. The full exhaust is going to be hanging off it. So if it was just regular 16 gauge metal, it might be iffy, right? So making that this makes it nice and strong. And you know, everything can hang off the front of it, and that's, you know, pretty good heavy pipe. I'm using the MIG welder. It's just a 110 whip MIG welder, 023 wire, CO2 gas. Nothing spectacular there. Everything that was done on this was done with 3 different grinders. No specialty tools. I had a hole saw there, which is an old cheap one, goes in my drill. The ear drill I was using to drill the holes, I used an ear drill. The electric ones, I would have burnt them up. This is a low speed drill. There's a 1/2 inch chuck and everything on it. I've got it for years, and you'll burn up these tips. You'll burn them up if you start putting any amount of speed into them. So I used this here. It was a slow process doing it, but I liked it better because I can control it, and it wasn't turning too fast for me, right? What else was there? I don't want to cover on that there. I was thinking about stuff as I was working on it. I think that's pretty well it. But I'm very pleased with that. Now I just got to turn around. I ordered up some 2 1/4 U-bends now, so I can actually, I got a bunch of them coming, so I can actually make all this up down here to go over to this here. And I got to make a T4 divided spot over here. I got to make that up so the pipes can go into that. That's another one. So I'm going to see, working on getting the hot side done on this here. I was going to start stripping the car apart, and I said to myself, well, I got a bunch of stuff I got to make for this car, namely the hot side and the cold side. I think now's the time to go about doing it. I'm not so much concerned about the cold side, I don't think, because I want to get everything in there, radiators and everything in there, and make all that up to fit all that, but I should be fine. But this hot side I had to get figured out, because I got to figure out where everything's going, and going over to that, and how it's all going to mount together and bolt together, weld together, whatever way it's going to go, right? But anyway, there you have a set of log manifolds made with simple tools. That's the easy way to describe that. Just old scrap pipe that I had kicking around to make them. I bought a couple of elbows. I didn't need to buy all of them. I bought 8 of them. I only used 2. And then I bought this length of pipe. I would have saved a lot if I had to, if I had known what I was doing in the first place, because I bought this piece of pipe and a larger pipe and had to go back and buy it again. You can't bring it back and get your money back. So, you know, I got a piece of pipe there that I got to use on something else. Them elbows, not worth my while to go back. I think I paid $50 for 8 of them, and plus the reducer here as well. So, you know, it's just, you know, that there, I say, if all the money that I wasted on stuff that I never got, I might have $100 into that. Well, hang on, the flange too. The flange, I think the flanges were like $40 or something, I think, on Amazon, and then them there, they were on Amazon as well. So, but still in all, right? They're built for purpose of this car. The design of the car, how everything works, they're going to work best kind. And, like, you know, manifolds would have been nice just to bolt them on and be able to modify again the manifolds. But the problem with this is 2 manifolds are different. Like, one goes down deeper than the other. I got the lower alternator over here, and it would have been an issue turning it back this way, because it would have went right down into the alternator. And on top of that, the manifolds wouldn't fit because they touched the upper control arms. So this was here a must. I'm glad I did this now. I was contemplating on all this. So, but anyway, I'm rambling on here now. Anyway, I hope the tips were good, and until next time. I want to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget, hit like and share. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, hit subscribe down the bottom of the page. If you want to donate to the channel, down below there's a button, super thanks button. If you want to click on that, it'll take you through the motions of making donations to the channel. We greatly appreciate it. We also got merchandise. Pop over to Fitzy'sFabrications.com and check out our merchandise. We have hoodies, sweaters, t-shirts, and stickers. Lots to choose from. Thanks for watching.